Welcome back. You're watching the Brand Equity Anniversary Special straight from the south of France with me, Sonali Krishna. Now, one of the biggest blockbuster sessions at the Cannes Lions this year was a conversation between actor Sarah Jessica Parker and the Cosmopolitan editor Joanna Coles. The context being that millions of women today have the opportunity to be equal players, but they still struggle to manage work, love, relationships, sex, children, money and power. Hitting a chord with our women viewers? Well, that's exactly what these two powerhouse women spoke about. Handling power to embracing the chaos of life. I'm pretty sure this one is going to totally engage you. Take it away.
We live in a world where success now is expected to be instant. And if you put something on the web and it doesn't go viral within 20 minutes, then it's a failure, it's deemed unsuccessful. And going back to when Sex and the City started, talk to us a little bit about what that process was like, because you had no idea, obviously, that it was going to be the game changer that it was.
It's sort of important to remember that HBO at that time was a rather different channel. It was primarily considered a male-oriented platform for distribution. It focused a lot on sports, and there were a few scripted shows, and most of those were geared toward a male audience. So we sort of helped set the table, I guess you could say, modestly. So what was lovely about those early years of the show was that we were able to create, we produced an entire first season without ever having been on the air. So we had no idea, we had, first of all, no point of reference, because it was a voice that was new, and it was slightly subversive, and it had a point of view that was sort of singular. And then it was sort of a slow burn. We had to cultivate the female audience and sort of change the viewing habits. And so we were able to sort of find a place at a time when there was no original broadcasting from the three kind of conventional networks. So we were this kind of alternative programming idea. And so more to your point, we didn't produce with the result in mind, because we simply had no destination point. We were simply trying to produce the best show we could.
And I remember the first time I saw Sex and the City, and I couldn't believe what I was watching, because it was the first time ever I had seen people like my friends represented on television having conversations where women were allowed to be nuanced, conflicted about children and marriage and work and what they liked
politics.
better. And also allowed to have a sex life that wasn't just a married sex life. Talk to us about how it changed perceptions of women on television, and how, you know, how things that are on television now, like one thinks of HBO Girls, couldn't possibly have happened without Sex and the City.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with time and place. I don't know that if we wanted to tell that story today, in this New York, in this time, you know, politically, socioeconomically, there's just a whole sort of portrait that allowed for us to tell the story at that time. The home where we found ourselves was HBO, which didn't have commercials, so it was a real 30 or 32 minutes of storytelling. Language was not an issue, so we could use salty language, we could be ribald, we could be, some might say, vulgar, if appropriate. And so there were all sorts of ways of illustrating and conveying feelings and talking about intimacies that you simply couldn't do on broadcast television. But the titillating part, I think, you can't hang your hat on. I think underneath what was provocative and titillating and controversial was a story about a woman's search for home, a woman's search for love and for fulfillment, and trying to figure out who she really was and who she wanted to be, and how to be a better person, how to be a good friend. If you're just about using language and the F word and wearing amazing clothing, and there's no substance, there's nothing substantive, I think it doesn't stick for too long.
Right. Sex and the City very much caught a moment in women's lives. Tell us about your new project, also for HBO, which also sounds like it's about a stage in life.
really it's a portrait of this particular decade of her life, like many women are experiencing, where you've made some choices and maybe you've discovered they aren't the right choices, and you might even have some regrets, and you're conflicted about love and want very much to be fulfilled, but also feel a real connection and a yearning to be a great mother and a wife. And what we've discovered in researching this project is that women are having affairs in their 40s. But the story is very compelling, and the more we know about this particular kind of crucible which women find themselves, the more interesting the story becomes. And also I think there still aren't a lot of women on television. It's kind of funny if you think about it. They're actually, and particularly that age group of those stories being told about the intimate parts of our lives, and not just gratuitously, but what is happening in women's lives right now, in their 40s, in their 50s, and it's a very interesting time.